I'm gonna try something. Trauma isn't what happened to you. What I thought was ruining my video was exactly what this video is about. A scarcity or limited mindset is the fear of not having enough, which creates that reality regardless of your real circumstances. The lack of control I had over finances and things beyond a child while growing up, and the stories I was told about us not having enough money, created this narrative I've struggled to rewrite, even with currently having abundant circumstances. Healing this mindset isn't about changing your outer world, but about changing how you view your world. People spend their whole lives hustling for more accomplishments, wealth, and possessions out of fear of not having or being enough. Although this mindset is of course in your mind, it heavily affects how you interact with the world. Like how your surroundings can have physical reminders of these internalized, fear-based stories. Like these curtains that have been on my to-do list for over a year. But more on that later. Changing how you view your world is to completely change how you think when you're not thinking about thinking. So naturally, this is challenging. It takes time, so be patient with yourself. One way that has helped me start to change these thought patterns is discovering what my true priorities are and being decisive so that I can cut out the clutter on my goals or to-do list. It's easy to feel like you're lacking so much in your life when you have a million tabs in your head of all the different things or qualities you wish you had. Instead, determine what's truly important to you and recognize less is more. Because having more means that you spend less time, if any, with each individual thing. I have to say, when I was planning this video, I didn't expect to have a huge lesson happen right in the middle of it. And what I thought was ruining my video was exactly what this video is about. So, irony. Having a scarcity mindset is not a surface level issue. Trauma isn't what happened to you, it's how it has affected your future thought process. It's an attempt to help you, but if we're reacting to everything as if it is a crisis, then no wonder we stay in this state of fear. I had a typo. Just as a side note, if you tend to self-sabotage, just know that there isn't something wrong with you. It's a natural reaction to do certain things out of fear, and it's more so that you just need to give a little bit more attention to these habits and understand why they're happening and figure out healthier ways to redirect yourself. And of course it's easier said than done, but my point is there isn't something wrong with you as a human for reacting in this way. So these curtains in my bedroom have become quite symbolic in my life and have been a part of my silent to-do list for over a year. Just a constant reminder that my life is scarce and I can't have curtains, and there are too many obstacles in my way to be able to get these curtains up. Which sounds so dramatic. Just so you know, curtains are kind of complex. I've learned this is the first time ever putting up curtains. I'm not gonna go into an interior design skit anyways lesson, but they can be quite complicated, and like we didn't have a ladder for a while, and they can be quite expensive, and there's things like that just felt so daunting, and almost this thought of course it can't be finished, And who knows, maybe that's from growing up and not having a finished home and being like, oh, it's gonna be finished, it's gonna be finished, and like literally moving out at 18 and it still was never finished. So maybe that's a part of it too. It's just this feeling of things don't get finished. Like you don't get to live in a finished home, sorry. Even though technically my home is definitely finished, and if we compare it to my childhood home, but that's not the point. It's still a feeling. So I recently made it a priority that this needs to get done. It's been put off for so long, and yes, there's a few obstacles, but they can be dealt with. I feel like having this kind of mindset, if you focus solely on the physical in the world, then you might be missing a big part of it. Like I said, talking about my childhood and how my mind thinks because of trauma, and trauma can look like a lot of different things. I think sometimes people think trauma has to be something very big and very chaotic, but I think oftentimes it's usually stems from your needs not being met in some way. Healing this mindset isn't all mental either. It definitely is a push and pull. How do you interact with the world? How do you handle these challenges that you're faced with? And I think challenges that I've been faced with throughout my life, I've handled it with this mindset of, I'm missing the tools that I need, or I'm missing the money that I need. Oh, I could do it if I had the money. But wait, if I actually had the money, would I blow it all? That makes me think, like when I did real estate and I had the tools and I was building up the skills to actually make more money, and then I caught myself having the thought of being afraid because I thought, I'm not going to be able to properly manage this money, I'm going to waste it, and then I'm going to have the guilt of knowing that I needed the money but then I wasted it, which is like worse than never having the money in the first place, which is obviously a huge rabbit hole. And it's not true. It's not true that I can't manage the money. I mean, yes, if I continue with habits that I've had in the past, but understanding that the fear of not having enough money isn't gonna go away just because you have more money is really important. Because if you sit there and you hustle and you hustle and you hustle because you're like, I just need to make more money, you're not gonna heal. It's not gonna get better by making more money. You have to put in that inner work and that work on your habits and your mindset. And I say and too much. I noticed that in my last video. Noticing your habits, putting in the work to first acknowledge your habits, and then working on changing your habits. And habit change is a lot of work, and it's not something you can brute force. Matter of fact, you shouldn't. You should take it one step at a time. And also notice that what seems like one habit might actually have multiple smaller habits in it. But talking about habit change is a whole other video topic. So jumping back to how I ran into issues while I was trying to put up these curtains this week, and how I felt like it was ruining my video in a way because I needed it for the video, because it was a significant symbol for at least my scarcity. It's definitely obviously not where it came from or anything like that, but it's just something for me currently that has been a symbol of that scarcity. And it's just one chip away to say, no, like enough is enough. This narrative isn't true. This story that I'm telling myself isn't true. And I'm gonna prove it by putting up these fucking curtains. So when I was having issues, I knew that I couldn't do it today. I couldn't do it that day. It wasn't today, but I couldn't do it that day. And I felt so frustrated and defeated because I just wanted to get it done. Even though they won't be completely done because they need new panels, like the curtain panels. But I just want the rods up properly because that's the most complicated part. And that frustration of, I can't do this today, and I feel defeated. The feeling was so intense. And I feel like at a surface level, if I said, I feel like crying because I can't put up these curtains, you'd be like, what? But it was so much deeper than that. It was that feeling of defeat, that feeling that I don't have what I need. Literally, I don't at this moment. And it was just so telling for me to feel that way. And as a filmmaker, I knew that I couldn't let that stop me from finishing the video, because that's still kind of a scarcity mindset, right? Like, oh, because I don't have this thing, I can't do any of it. And that's not true. You can always improvise and always find a way. And ultimately, I think the video might be better off for it. So it kind of feels like it was supposed to happen. Especially because, plot twist, I did have what I needed to do the curtains that day. I just thought they were the wrong pieces. But now I know a lot about different screw sizes and anchors and things like that. So I learned something. These are going to be the most special curtains I ever put up in my life, right? And they will, because they will be done 100% correctly. I also should mention that I'm really interested in interior design, and it is something that I want to pursue one day, but for now I really just want to focus on doing my own home and sharing it. So it's just been important to me to make sure that I'm learning how to do things properly. And again, that probably could be because, you know, in my childhood with my mom constantly doing projects on the house, and a lot of things weren't done properly. My siblings and I own the house now, and those things need to be fixed because they weren't done right. So yeah, making sure things get done right is really important to me. I'm gonna try something. See if it works. Wow, that took an unexpected turn. It didn't work. It went worse than I expected it to. I'm like shaking. Can it get any worse? Probably. We can hope not. I have been financially blessed many times, and yet I still have this fear as if it's the last time, and that I'll always have less money than what I need or less money than I have in debt. This is why I emphasize that a scarcity mindset has nothing to do with your current situation. There are many millionaires that could easily retire but don't, out of fear of not having enough or losing it all. Especially since the more money a person has, the more financial responsibilities they tend to take on. Healing the scarcity mindset isn't about making more money. And that's why I share these examples, because making more money isn't going to make that fear go away. It runs a lot deeper than just money. It's your faith in yourself to be able to keep your head above water, and the faith in yourself to be able to provide for you and your family, and to not always feel like you're struggling. But you can feel scarce in many areas of your life. You can feel scarce in relationships and love, feel like you don't have loving, caring, nurturing relationships in your life, and as if you never will. So it's not about creating more money or creating more relationships. It's about relearning the fear mindset that you learned when you were younger, that you developed to survive. But that's the thing. You're just barely surviving instead of thriving because of the scarcity mindset.